So I'm going to disagree with Flynn that he didn't think he was the for sure starter, at least the lead in the spring leading into the '07 season.
Yep.
And we've talked about you having a position battle with Jamarcus every single year. That was a real battle. I was there, and it came down to the wire all the time. But I do feel like it was your team. I guess you're a little bit in the same position that Myles was. Like, you're the for sure leader coming into camp, but you have younger players that are pushing you.
So, yeah, I got the first shot at it, but no one said, Les never said, hey, you're the day one starter. Like, you're the day one spring practice. Yeah, I mean,
I don't think they're telling Myles that either.
Exactly. I'm hoping in 12 years Myles was having the same argument with his teammates saying, no, I did not believe that I was a starter, because I hope he doesn't believe that he's the starter. Like, you want him to understand that a little bit closer to training camp and when everything gets solidified. Okay. But you want him to play with a chip on his shoulder like he's like.
But do you want him taking charge?
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's what I'm saying, and it pains me to say nice things about you.
Like, you have to do as a quarterback when you don't 100% believe right. that you're like, if you're being told, go earn it.
Right.
Like, you're getting the first shot. You have to do everything. You have to make it impossible for them to pick somebody else.
Leave no doubt.
You have to leave no doubt. So you have to play better. You have to take charge. You have to be the first in line when it's routes on air. You have to do all the little things that makes everybody in their mindset know that, okay, that's the guy. That's the guy. Oh, that's the guy. Oh, well, look at that throw. Oh, look at him taking charge there. Like, you have to leave no. It's kind of like a.
Do you think that stops them from getting complacent if they're like, oh, I already have the spot, now I don't have to work as hard or something like that?
I think that if you have that mentality, you probably shouldn't be in that position. Yeah. A guy's been, what is he, going in his 4th year here at LSU? Is that right?
Yeah.
And he hasn't been the starter yet. So, like, in my case, I was in my 5th year before I was a starter. And I was like,
but y'all somewhat both played. Like, he pushed Danny a little bit in 17. There was times when you pushed Jamarcus and you got in. The Capital One Bowl in 04, you got in before Jamarcus did. You started a bowl game in the Peach Bowl, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show, the 05 Peach Bowl. You played in an SEC championship game. And Myles has kind of had some of that as well, which I think helps.
Yeah. I just know that when you've been working at one thing for so long, with one goal in mind, you've done everything the right way. Complacency is the last thing on your mind to answer the question. Like, I would almost be willing to bet that Myles has never worked harder than he's working right now, just from my experience, because that's how it was. That's other people that I've seen that have been in that position. When they finally get their chance, they don't want to let it down. Like, now, if he was getting his chance, if he was a true freshman starter and going into a sophomore year, maybe a little complacency there. But this guy's worked for going into his 4th year now, and he's competed for a starting job and lost.
In this day and age, you don't typically have talented quarterbacks like Myles wait their turn and to sit at one university like he has, which we all appreciate, and that's the way you did it. And I've always appreciated the way you did that. And inside the Bayou Ford Huddle, Stephen Miller, I'm hoping Myles Brennan doesn't believe that, but I mean, what does he really have behind him to push him? Stephen, in this day and age in the transfer portal, there's always a chance of a grad transfer. There's just always that chance.
It doesn't matter if it's now or in the summer. We've seen it here.
We've seen Joe Burrow get to campus at the end of May and become the starting quarterback.
So if you're Myles Brennan going into this camp, you were working your ass off, radio version. You're working your ass off because let's just say you don't have a great spring practice. Well, they might be recruiting that transfer portal a little bit more. Now, so that's motivation right there in itself. I don't care. You look in the quarterback room, you're like, I'm clearly the best one here. No, you got to be the best guy in the coach's minds that's available.
Yeah. Because there's a little bit of free agency
at your school and at other schools. Right. You always have to be competing with the next. It's just like in the NFL. You can't just be the best. Like, I couldn't be the best in Green Bay. I couldn't be the second best quarterback in Green Bay. I'd be better than all the other backups or third stringers or whatever it was in the rest of the NFL. It's like you're always competing with other people as well. And that's what you're seeing now. It's college free agency.
Yeah, and you had a younger guy who, Ryan Pearley, was a highly touted guy who was pushing you, and you wanted to keep your distance from him, which you did, obviously. And there's highly touted guys here. Even if they don't go in the transfer portal, they're still highly talented guys that are freshmen, and we've seen freshmen play at that position. In our day, they didn't play quarterbacks that were true freshmen. Now we've seen Bo Nix. We've seen other guys that have stepped in and played as true freshmen. Jake Fromm was a freshman who played. So there is that, but I'm with you as far as I want him to be a guy that each and every day, which he has been, and we heard Coach O say that. That's why we're bringing it up. He's been the leader. He's been the guy when you get to that 8th circuit in a fourth quarter program, says, hey, guys, we've got one more to go. We got to get it up. This is fourth quarter time. All those small little things that it might sound cheesy, but that matters. When you have a voice and when you have a leader that you can attach to your team to know when times get tough, I can look to you and you're going to give me the answer, that goes a very long way. And I've always thought you did a really good job of that when you were coming in to take over that leadership, right? And because Jamarcus wasn't the most vocal guy, right? He did it a different way.
There's no one way to do it.
There's no one way to do it, but you were more of a vocal guy, which I appreciated. And I've been over there for the fourth quarter program. I've seen football school, and Myles has taken that role right now, which I think is very important for him to. And I'm not saying that he was doing things the wrong way, but
even Joe wasn't the most vocal guy as well. I mean, so there's lots of different ways, but that is a really, especially fourth quarter. I mean, that's a time where you can just scream the entire time, and it's pretty normal, right?
Yeah.
It's the time to show the toughness. You have to be in as good a shape or better shape than everybody as a quarterback, because you know that you can't ever put your hands on your knees as a quarterback in conditioning.
You're held to a different standard.
You're held to a different standard, and I don't care if you have to walk into the locker room and die for a couple hours. Like you just can't show weakness in times of like the conditioning tests and things like that.
I think right now in this process, there's things that you put to the side, and I'm not just saying this for Myles Brennan, but anybody that would be in his situation that's waited their turn. You've waited so long. You've done everything the right way leading up to this point to stay with your team, to not take your ball and go home. You change a couple of things. You change your lifestyle for the next 2 seasons, and you become the best version of Myles Brennan that you can come. You don't have to worry about being the best Joe Burrow. We might not ever see another season like Joe Burrow just had in college football. You become the greatest Myles Brennan version that you can become, and I think everything's going to play itself out.
Dang, dude. Preach.